Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the DOU. This is the Duchess of Unicorn channel on YouTube. I'm so glad you're back. If you're already subscribed and you're part of the tribe, I thank you so much for all your comments. I came across this article, and usually I don't upload a video unless I am interested in something sparks me, and for whatever reason, sometimes I just think it's funny, sometimes I think it's deeper, sometimes I think things need to be uncovered and shared with others and things bounced off you. So today I found Meghan Markle's faith in God got her through the darkest moments and of her life, this book claims. And you know what book it is. It's Omid Scobie, her paid marketer, her paid extra outside PR guy, separate from her actual PR firm. And of course, don't forget, she's with Harry Walker Agency, which is the same agency that Hillary Clinton is with, and Michelle Obama, Oprah, a ton of people that walk in the same circle. So what we see is, prior to marrying Prince Harry, prior to marrying into wealth, Meghan was on the outside, and none of these people were connected to her. Now she used the clout of Prince Harry, and you see there is a ton of Democratic political type personas, characters, and actors coming to her side. However, I must admit that there's not that many actors. It seems like they're fleeting, and that indicates to me that they're not really friendly, or she's not in any circle, but the circle that she's in is part of the bigger club. You know, it's thought that only men were part of the good old boys club, but I believe in my heart of hearts that the good old boys club has now made a good old girls club, and these women, this club of women, is increasingly getting bigger because it's politically correct to do so. And they do it under the guise of trending words like feminism and woman power. Remember that word way back when, woman power? And now it's girl power, and it just keeps increasing. They look for these key words, these trending words that people can latch onto and feel like they have a purpose in life. Because remember, the pursuit of happiness is to find purpose in life, and that's how you find supposedly happiness. So there is truth to that, but again, the devil works in mysterious ways, because they use the fact that you are in pursuit of happiness. We all are. It's something that we feel we are compelled to do, to share and be a part of joy. So if you find a joy, or you find your pursuit of happiness, or you're on your pursuit of happiness, well, if you can link up with other people, that's a good thing. Well, the evil or the bad in the world also can use that to its advantage. So Meghan Markle suddenly has a faith in God. This was published 4 days ago, and it takes a lot of the excerpts from the book from Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand. And I'm sure that it's a nice book, but let's remember, it was dropped $20 when it didn't even hit the shelves yet. Boom. Somebody is more powerful than we know. And who is that? I don't know. A lot of people have assumed it's the Queen's long reach that the book's price dropped before it even hit the shelf. Because in all honesty, you don't need a book anymore to find out information. It's on the internet. You just have to research it. Really, books like this are, in my opinion, are created for people who are lazy and who rather just flip through on their sofa and have a read about what they like to think is the truth. If you just use the internet, you can find so much more. You can find what's in Omid Scobie's book, plus, extra plus, exclamation point, underlined. So I won't go into this article further, but to tell you that they got me thinking. Meghan Markle has a faith in God, and I wondered, what God? And I couldn't find anything prior to marrying Prince Harry, or even prior to this article, that Meghan referenced God, or a belief in God, or an association with God, or a demonstration of her love of God. So I wondered what God that could be. So I understand that when you marry into the royal family, you become part of the Church of England. And I understand that Meghan had to do that. She had to adopt or take on as her religion the Church of England. Well, I think if someone doesn't really have an established belief system, that it would be easy to take on any type of religion, especially with so much wealth and power behind what is about to happen when you marry into a royal family. I think for some people without deep roots would abandon any beliefs they might have had prior to believe in what they're going to marry, what they're looking forward to the most. It's only my opinion, folks. That's part of this channel. The full disclaimer is in the description box. Don't be mad at me. I'm just sharing like you would share. Okay, so let's look at 9 things, according to this article, that says 9 things you should know about Anglicanism. Okay. Anglicanism is a tradition within Christianity comprising the Church of England and the churches which are historically tied to it or have similar beliefs, worship practices, and church structures. I'll leave it at that. According to this article, there's around 80 million members worldwide. The Anglican faith is often considered a Reformed Catholicism hybrid between the Catholic and Protestant faiths. Okay, so that got me to thinking, and I'll leave these links in the description box. That got me to thinking, what the? So how did that come to happen? So I went over to this article. Again, I will hopefully remember to put that from history.com in the description box below. And it talks a little bit to the fact that why royals weren't really allowed to marry divorced people and how that's established. Because it says it's a big deal. Marrying a divorced person was taboo among British monarchy for hundreds of years. Imagine something in your family being a thing for hundreds of years, okay? By signing off on the match, the Queen Elizabeth, who must be consulted before people within the line of succession marry. So that's to make sure that none of that stuff gets too close to the top, right? Has reinforced the family's recent about-face on divorce. Historically, the Church of England's position was that divorce was okay, but remarriage was not. And, you know, it's not a bad thing to think of. And I don't think that, personally, I don't think when you're trying to establish some type of lineage, I don't think you should have loose rules, right? That's that's the epitome of traditions. And they've kept them for hundreds of years. Not a bad thing. I might not agree at the ones that they choose, but tradition is a good thing. All roads were paved with good intentions. Ironically, the roots of that position and the Church of England itself lie in the inability of Henry VIII, I believe, to annul his marriage with the blessings of the Catholic Church. In the 1530s, Henry decided he wanted to have an annulment after Catherine of Aragon failed to give birth to a male heir. When the Pope repeatedly refused to grant his request, Henry first limited the church's influence in England, then formally severed ties to Catholicism in 1534. That's a bit ago. So that's how long that's been going on. This break from the Roman Catholic Church meant that the British monarch, not the Pope, was the official head of the Church of Britain. In Britain, Henry and the monarchs that followed took on the role of defender of the faith. Since then, monarchs have pledged to uphold the religious tenets of the Church of England at their coronations within the royal family. It became nearly impossible to divorce or marry someone whose previous marriage had ended. So this is why when you think back of Henry VIII, he's like, oh, you know what? You're not going to give me a, grant me permission to annul this person based on the fact that she can't have a boy for me. She can't have a male heir. And that to me doesn't sound very feministic. So basically, Meghan Markle is basically saying, hey, yeah, when you can't get your way, you create your own way. Well, that's good. That's a good thought, but not when it talks about belief systems and traditions, in my opinion. So basically, that's the foundation of that church. I think it's probably a lot more complicated than that, but that's what we know of it. So then I got to thinking, well, how did Michael Curry, the bishop, officiate over Meghan's wedding? Well, there's lots of reads here. So I'm going to just point out a few things I thought were interesting. He was elected in 2015, just about the time that Meghan dated Harry. Okay, it was a really quick thing that happened. It's almost like, I pick you, let's go. Okay, and this bishop was chosen. Now he's the first African American to serve as presiding bishop in the Episcopal Church. And he was previously bishop of the Diocese of North Carolina. He's from a family descended of slaves and sharecroppers in North Carolina, Alabama, something that Doria Ragland has in common as well. Okay, so there's little innuendos that kind of are undertones here that say to me that this all arrows led to him being chosen because, again, 2015, he just happened to be elected just in time because Meghan Markle was going to be a half black woman, was going to be marrying into the royal family, making, everybody feel at home and comfortable. Then you got this descendant from slaves, so that matches with Doria, and there's kind of an affinity there. Just kind of little tidbits, not big. But then, of course, he's quite educated in all the avenues of divinity. And of course, he's also American. You can read on your own if you're interested. Not a lot of people are that interested. But what I did find interesting is that he also has a little bit of history in politics. Right here with the Millennial Development Goals. Another kind of half circle or 180 towards where Meghan's involved in, the United Nations. That, I believe, is an insignia of the United Nations, the actual real map of what our ground cover or our geology of the world actually looks like. The real map is flat, not necessarily circular, but more domed. And these are the real lands. That Meghan herself had some work with the United Nations. I think she was some type of ambassador or some kind of low-level spokesperson who would drop in and say a few words and give a nod. And it was her way of again, exercising, I think, in my opinion, her political prowess. Now, she was affirming that, it kind of gave her practice, if you will. So he also has this involvement. Now, I'm not saying anything yay or nay. I'm just adding that in to see that there's always a link to people in everything Meghan is involved with. It is not by happenstance. It is not by, oops, I tripped and I fell upon it and wow, it fell into my lap. No, these are all calculated links of association. So we know that the United Nations is huge, but understand that when you have a network base of such wealthy, prominent, and individuals that are spread out throughout the world and the United States, you see that it's a political thing, which is basically has a lot of Democrats involved in it too, don't forget. It's just political. There's no Dems and Republics. It's all political. And so we see that Meghan may have had some introductions through the United Nations, kind of like outside where malaria is. Malaria is not in the United States. It's in third world countries. It's in other hot, warm climate countries. And he raised $400,000 campaign to buy malaria nets. That's a lot of malaria nets. Okay, I'm going to finish this video up and say that's it for today. Look and see. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll expect your comments.